Hi, and welcome to CTO Friend The Podcast, where founders come to learn how to manage a tech startup. This is Mitchie and I'm with Amaury Khalifi. Hi, Amaury.
Hi, Mitchie, and welcome startuppers to today's podcast. In this episode, we are talking about the Founder's Basics Toolbox to help you on a daily basis. In fact, I just want you to save time, and there are thousands of ways, tools, and techniques to optimize repetitive tasks.
That's right. Now remember that for this first series of the podcast, we are working our way down Amaury's book, going through the tips and real startup experiences he's gathered throughout the years. So if you're a founder without technical background, listen up because you're in the right place. Now let's go ahead and get started, shall we?
Yeah, let's go. What should we start?
Well, we were talking about last time, the CTO productivity hacks regarding brainstorming and project planning, right? Today, we're going to tackle the technical tools that you can use for these same CTO productivity hacks. Now, we were talking also about taking pictures of everything, documenting all of your brainstorming process, all of your project planning. I want us to start right from there and how you can use that with your technical tools.
Well, there is a very, very good tool that I use for a while. It's just the screenshot. The screenshots are amazing, and I invite you to get used to it and do hundreds of screenshots every day, documenting everything you do, processes when you go on a website, etc. Because it's gonna help you just for you to have a procedure somewhere, even if it's not useful for next week, maybe in a month or 6 months, it's gonna be useful. And it can also help you to delegate to someone else because we become busy and we might hire people down the road, etc. And having all that screenshots, even if you don't take the time to put some notes on it, anyway, it's going to speak for itself. And there is another technique that is just amazing as well. It's just using videos. You can use screencast tools. The one I use is Screenomatic. It's just amazing because I just click on a button, it starts recording. I can have my little webcam on the bottom right-hand corner or wherever I want, in fact, on the screen. And I just say and dictate what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm clicking on this and that, and then it works that way. So that's why I need to go through this and this and that. And that's just, I use it for almost everything. And at the end of the recording, I can even just have a link to the videos that is stored on the cloud, so that if I send an email or if I want to send a tutorial through a quick chat, whether it's Slack, Skype, or whatever, it's just a link, and there is everything inside.
That's right. Now, I have been the witness of this in some ways. We have actually worked a lot on the production of the courses and the video advice tips and all of that we did together. And whenever I am struggling with some kind of new tool that I'm not familiar with, Amaury just sends an email with a little screencast of, you just need to, if you want to synchronize this information on your computer, you just need to click here, click there. Super useful. And it probably takes you less than writing the email and just explaining the instructions, right?
The goal is to save time. And if you want to save your time, stop writing long email and trying to, okay, we need to click this and where is the button? No. You know what? I have to say that I hate emails because emails takes a lot of time and there are hundreds of ways to do it faster. And even sometimes when people send me a very long email, I just, click on the record button and I just speak to them through my webcam, etc. And I just answer by a very quick video. That first off, they enjoy it because it's more natural and the conversation it's free, it's smooth and it's a lot better than just having an impersonal or even personal email with procedure, without any details. No, I really like speaking. And it's like making up for the fact that we are not in person, we are not talking with each other in person, and you can make up through videos. That helps a lot.
That's right. It can feel a little bit dry when you're just talking about communication that's only written communication, chats or email, that can be a little bit dry. So even if you're a little bit camera shy, you can also use voice notes. If you're explaining a procedure, voice notes do the trick as well.
Yeah, voice notes are very, very effective as well. There are lots of meetings I do with my clients where I ask them, would you like to turn on your voice recorder? just to be able to come back on it later. Like now you are listening a podcast, right? Maybe you are driving or running, but you might be able to re-listen some meetings that you've got with important clients, with important partners, etc. Because sometimes you have real revelations, epiphany, and you need to be sure that and to listen again the process of these important meetings. And I did it in the past several times, and I wrote some minutes or some slideshow based on what we covered in the meetings. And the voice notes are even more interesting than videos in some way, because it's very easy to speed up the listening and then to listen 2 hour meetings in an hour.
Exactly. And we did touch on this a little bit last time when we were talking about documenting your process and documenting your brainstorming process. But doing screencasting, video recording, and voice notes are also something very useful when you're talking to your developer and your content manager, right? Whenever you're having any issues with your project, you need to communicate that to the people who actually know about it.
Absolutely. When we build a startup project, of course, you need to go through some specification stages, then writing down on a long document, etc. And then you will to delegate that work to your developers. Well, for the specifications, I mean, it's still important to write down specifications in the document, because it's like a to-do list for your developers, and it's going to be hard for him to really keep track of what he has to do just by sending him some instructional videos. It can help, and what I would recommend you is to have a to-do list, and on a very tricky instructions, maybe you can attach a quick video. The video is very, very useful for bug management. Whenever you notice a bug on your application, you want to share it with your developers, wow, just record your screen and send it. It speaks more than 1,000 words, you explain what you did. There is a proof, that's the screenshot, because sometimes developers don't believe you. They say, oh, come on, it works on my side. I don't understand. He might do something wrong. And if that's the case, thanks to the screencast, the developer will see it right away.
Exactly. And if you are doing something wrong, they can advise you, and you can know exactly what you're doing wrong. So it helps both ways.
Absolutely. Yeah, now, and you save a lot of communications and ping pong games between both of this side,
Yeah, it replaces just the email and the chat back and forth. It's much more straightforward. Now, talking about video and the value of video, I also want to touch on something that you mentioned and that I was really blown away by, because I'd never thought of that, which is giving feedback or just talking to a new customer or a new subscriber through video.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I have to say that I really discovered this technique by the startup called Bonjoro. It's a small app that you can have on your mobile, and you can plug it into your mailing tool or to your the e-commerce website or whatever. And then every time someone subscribe or someone buys something from you, you can just you have a notification on your mobile, and then you can click on it, and it records yourself in a selfie. You can be in your car doing whatever, and you say, "Oh, hello, Peter. Very happy for getting your email, and I look forward to have your feedback and to do this and that, etc." And that might be 20 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes videos. It doesn't really matter. It just shows people how much you care for them. It's not only an automatic email, it's you. And the video, speaks a lot more than words.
It's completely personalized, and it really does give you a complete different experience as receiving an email, because emails can be automized, and it's going to go out automatically, but with a quick video that has your name on it, I mean, how much personal can you get? You really do feel like the founder of the startup is addressing you directly. And that brings me to talking a little bit more about whenever you're having a meeting with someone, this is not just a quick message that is not supposed to have a response. We are right now talking through Zoom, right? we're recording our meetings through Zoom, and I just want to explore that a little bit more because we have a lot of options out there, and people should, especially remote management startups, there are a lot of people who can really benefit from having the right tools.
Absolutely. There is something where the topic is to save time, and when we say something during a meeting, you are not a machine. You are not just a computer. You do not record everything. But you can ask your computer to record everything, basically. And if you forgot something and if you need to come back on, oh, what did we said? Do you remember 2 weeks ago during that meeting, we were talking about this and that? Oh, I cannot remember. He shows me on his screen how to do this. Okay. Now, when we do a meeting, it's automatic with Zoom, and I took the subscription as soon as I saw that they had the option to record all my meetings. Every time I start a meeting, whether on my mobile, on my computer, everything is recorded. And by the end of each meeting, I send the link to people that attend to that meeting. So whether it's clients, partners, etc., they can enjoy coming back on our conversation. And if there was something they did not get on that during the meeting, they can first come back on the meetings and see if they really can understand the second time. And if there is really something wrong, then they can reach out to me. It makes them saving time. They have the answer right away, and they save my time as well because I don't have to repeat myself. And repeating yourself is just a waste of time.
Very true, very true. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you mentioned our previous podcast episode. You were talking about the top-down camera, and I've been a personal witness of this throughout your video advice whenever we're working on those videos. You use this all the time to explain things, and it's so useful.
Yeah, absolutely. I started to use that techniques when I started to create videos 2 years ago. And it's just a 4K webcam, and it's just attached on a very small arm. If you are listening this podcast, of course, on iTunes or whatever tool podcast, you cannot see me. But if you are on YouTube, look, I can just move my webcam and show you how it works. I have here the webcam and then my notebook just below. And that's so very convenient because during meetings, and thanks again to Zoom, I can do some drawings, putting post-its on my office, etc., etc. And it helps people to follow your thoughts. And again, it's a much more convenient to brainstorm without computer compared to using keyboards or even an iPad. That's not as easy as it is with paper.
True. Now, I'm going to have a little quick disclaimer here. We are not sponsored yet, so all of the tools that we're talking about right now are completely out of Amaury's toolbox. They're all suggested personally because he sees the value in them.
Absolutely, and that basically the way I see my CTO friend is never to get fees or to get interest in other services we can sell, because I don't want to be biased. I want to provide what's really useful for startup founders, and I prefer to get paid with my clients, and clients pay me to help them to build their startups and being very, very objective in the way they do things.
And talking about the top-down camera, this is a tool that you use for your courses. And another tool that you are using and you have been using for a while now would be for automations. You mentioned that you love Zapier, right?
Yeah, Zapier helped me for several things. It's a very, very easy tool to connect. Easy. I mean, it's accessible for everyone. You can create an automation between just a form or on a website or a landing page, as example, and generate as many automation as you want afterwards, like sending emails, creating a directory on Google Drive. It can be copying a file on your Dropbox. It can be sending specific content or whatever, sharing a file on Dropbox or sharing a file on Google Drive. And you can imagine almost everything. There are hundreds, if it's not 1,000 tools that are connectable to Zapier. And yeah, it makes it very, very, very easy, and you can save a lot of time.
I would say this is one of the super tools that we're actually advising here, right?
Yeah. And I have some clients who made millions building startups without developers, just taking an e-commerce solutions, plugging things with Zapier, having created just a customer experience with different tools, paying small fees for e-commerce, for it was Typeform at that time, etc., etc. Different tools to make the customer experience just smooth, and they end up to create 8 million euro in turnover without developer. And then they at the end they hire a developer, of course, and they build their own software, etc., just to improve and to optimize their process. But still, you can do a lot of things.
That's a great example to lean into that prototyping phase. You could just go ahead and get 8 million euros.
Absolutely.
Incredible. Now, let's talk a little bit about follow-up, because you did mention that you hate email, right? But follow-up is important.
Follow-up is the key, and when you listen, every web marketers, you need to have common. I think it's 7 or 8 interactions with someone before he can buy something from you. So it's important to have regular newsletter communications, as well as when people reach out to you, you need to follow up with him on a regular basis. And if he forgot to come back to you, you need to follow up again. And I have a very tiny tool, which is just amazing. Again, it's followupthen.com. And if I send an email to someone, and if I want to be remembered in maybe 1 week, I just send the copy of the email to like 1 week at followupthen.com or 2 days at followupthen.com, and I will be noticed by receiving another email from followupthen.com. We are just going to tell me, here was the reminder you asked, and that's just very, very easy and useful.
Very useful. Now, we're going to touch on something that's big, and it's really big for any human in this day and age, digital day and age, but especially startup founders and startup CEOs and startup CTOs, because you're going to go through a lot of tools, some of them, included in this episode, and you're going to have for each tool a password.
Yes. So, you need password, and you need different password for all your tools, because you never know if some startups or tools might be hacked at some point. Never use the same password for your tools. Or for my personal experience, what I have is I generate passwords with these tools, which allow me to make them very, very different for all my tools. And if I really need to know my password by heart, then I have basically four passwords, and they are ranged by security level. I mean, if it's like email account, etc., that's a very complex password, and very and I just use it basically just for my email. Then I have other tools just for subscription I can have online, etc., which is a bit less complex, and I have several levels of tools. And another technique that you can use for tools, if you really want to keep them by heart, is to creating a sentence that you might keep in your head, and then using maybe the first letters of each words of that sentence, and that makes you a password, which is a bit complex, and still easy to remember thanks to that sentence.
Very cool. I didn't know that last one. Let's talk about actual tools. What are the names of the tools that you use for this?
So you have tools like Dashlane, you have 1Password, you have LastPass, which are the 3 main ones if you want to store all your passwords. What they allow is also to manage your password as a team and having several kind of directory, but everything is encrypted, of course, but you can allow someone in your team to join a team and then to have access to all the passwords of the tools of that team. If you have a marketing team, you can gather that tools here, there, and there, etc. So that's very, very useful.
Very good. And that's something that, I mean, me as a non-startup founder, I wasn't thinking of, that you're going to have a team and they all need to have access to the same tools. And if you ever change someone from your team, if someone has to go, you need that person to not leave with the passwords,
Yeah.
And the person that replaces that role needs to have access as well. So it needs to be centralized somehow. So these tools will help you do that.
Absolutely. And in that case, you need to put in place a process when someone is leaving, and depending on the relation you have with him, I would recommend to change the password of this team, and that can be done directly in the tool. You're gonna do it through the website of each tools, and then it's going to be updated on LastPass or 1Password tool as example, and then all the team will have the updated one.
Perfect. So you've covered all your bases. Good. Now let's talk about design. This is something that startup founders struggle with because early stage startup founders not always have access to a full-on UX designer to design their application. So what do you advise in terms of tools?
Well, there are a lot of things and a lot of tools that you can use as a startup founder. So I'm going to flip through the one that I use the most. In terms of design, for example, I use Canva. Canva is very useful. You can have templates, you can have delegate things to your team, and all my team work with this, whether it's for social media, etc. Then when it comes to content marketing, audio is also another tool, another thing that you need to optimize. And for that, I use Auphonic. Auphonic is amazing because it's enabled to optimize the audio of a podcast episode, but not only that, to videos as well. And you can just drop videos, as example, in a Dropbox directory. Thanks to Zapier, it's going to take to be connected to Auphonic automatically, and then Auphonic is going to publish it on YouTube as well as on the podcast platform. So that can make it very, very automatic, optimize the audio. So that's very, very useful.
So combining tools, that's something that you need to keep in mind for all of those listening. The tools that we're advising, the tools that we're telling you that you may or may not use, they're worth it. You need to also combine them. So you're going to have different responsibilities. You're going to be managing different types of, let's say, data. And these tools are meant to be used also in a combination. You need to find the one that works for you depending on the responsibilities that you're going to have and the type of data that you're going to handle, but they're mostly to be used in a combination of some sort, right? So not just rely on one.
Absolutely. And that's the tools we use as a team, but you need to define what are the best ones for you. And let me develop a bit on that point. Basically, as a team, you need to define what are the communications and the things that you need to share. You need to share tasks to get done. You need to share brainstorming, recordings of meetings, dashboard with maybe KPI, etc., etc. You need to share the goals with the team, ideas, the planning, information, communication between the members, and as well as having informal communication. And for that, maybe the chat or just a hanging out meeting might be the best. It doesn't really matter which tools you are going to use. I can mention several ones like Slack, WhatsApp, or Teams for the chat. I can mention Trello, Jira, or Asana for the project management. I can mention everything regarding the business workflow like Salesforce, any CRM solutions, or ERP to managing e-commerce and all the stuff that goes behind. You have meeting tools like we mentioned Zoom, Skype, Appearin, and there are others. Customer support is very important to be able to not only communicate in your team, but with your clients as well. So ticketing tools like Zendesk, Freshdesk, and there are hundreds, if it's not thousands of other tools that can make easier for your clients to communicate with you. And that goes with the chat bots or the chat feature that you can have on your app as well as on your website too. So very important to decide with your team. You might have some idea on which tool might be the best, but imply your team in this decision process. If you want them to agree on using one tool, you need to ask them, okay, what would you think would be the best tool to do this or that? And then they are going to contribute in that idea. You are going to push towards main tools that are well known for two reasons. Because if you just use the tiny startup tool, maybe they are going to run out of business, and you will have to change all your habits. That's the first reason. And the second reason is if you use a well-known tools, you can connect them through Zapier or directly through API to other tools. And that can be integrated in a bigger pictures, in a bigger organization. And that's very important to keep that in mind.
Very true. So just to sum up, make sure everything's clear. You have a lot of options as a startup founder, the tools that you're going to use. Make sure that on those options, you mainly have well-known, well-developed, well-established tools, right? And two, make sure that you are deciding together as a team which tool you're going to use. Because if you are not agreeing on a certain tool, your team is not going to be happy to use that tool, and you need your team to be happy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, let's move on a little bit, talking about our team and talking about building your team. Let's discuss a little bit how we met. We met through Upwork.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was 2 years ago. Well, every time you encounter an obstacle, you have two decisions. Either you spend more time, days, hours, and months maybe to try to do things by yourself and to learning, I would say, the hard way, or you can get help. And that's exactly how we met, by the way. I needed to improve my English level and the English level of all the videos I was working on. And we start working that way. And if you check my videos more than 2 years ago, that I published 2 years ago, you will see that my level really increased since then. And that's exactly the same for everything. If you are a developer and you are struggling with something, just spend $50 on Upwork and find someone who is specialized in that language, in that plugin, in that area, and get help. You don't need to share your source code. You just need to ask him to take control through whatever tools, TeamViewer or others, to control your computer and to show you on your screen what you did wrong and to teach you. And obviously, you're going to record that meeting so that you will have a tutorial down the road, and that's going to help you and your further future developers to solve this same issue. And if you are a CEO, maybe you are not debugging your software, but maybe you have something else to do. Like if every Monday you do the same tasks again and again and again, just try to imagine how you can automate that tasks, how you can create maybe a tiny script that would do things for yourself. Just clicking on a button like a macro and seeing your computer doing that task automatically is just it's just amazing, and that gonna makes you save hours.
And that is something that you did when we were producing the courses, the video courses for MyCTOfriend.co. We usually just work on the content separately on a normal, let's say, written file. Mm-hmm. And then when we were moving towards moving it to slideshows, to Keynote and all of that, we were wasting a lot of time adding that content, and you just, CTO brain, let's go ahead and build a tool for this. I mean, that's going to save so much time. It has saved us so much time, and it really is going to help you in the long run, and you're going to have more time for the things that actually matter and the things that actually require your attention, because those little tiny things can be automated. Regardless of you being a technical background or not, they can be automated for you.
Yeah. It was very useful. It's just a plain text file, and when I put a new line with equal sign or a T sign, it's the title, etc. of the slide, and automatically when we click on the button, it generates all my slideshow, and I just need to review the slideshow and add a bit of pictures, and basically we transform few bullet points in a slideshow in just a few minutes. And that's very, very convenient. And on your own regular work, you can do exactly the same. You can define, okay, what would be the magic wins that I would like to have to transform this to that? what are you doing on regular basis that can be and that are repeatable through softwares? You describe that, maybe create a tiny screencast videos, describe how you do things, and go on Upwork, or maybe I found this developer on Fiverr, and for, I think it cost me something like $150, something like that. He did 4 scripts to automate everything I needed to do, synchronizing notes to the slide or slide to the notes, etc. And it makes me save hours and hours.
And ultimately money. So that 140, 150, it saves you a lot more money.
It's nothing.
Yeah. Now, also something that I would like to touch on, when you're going through a freelance platform like Fiverr and Upwork and all of that, keep in mind this is a global market now. So you are really getting competitive prices. So something like 140, you might be getting that for a small amount of money. You are getting someone who actually knows their job, knows their thing, and they're going to bring so much value to your life and to your life as a CEO, because startup founders really don't have enough time in the day to go through all of what they do need to go through. So make sure you get help. It's very easy to get help now. Identify where you're wasting your time. Identify what you're doing that's repeating yourself. Also, if you don't need to, go ahead and do a bot. If it's something that is different every time, you can also get someone like a virtual assistant to help you, for example. The possibilities are endless to get help. So just go ahead and step out of that little cocoon that I know some people have, and get that for the best chance for your startup. As the most time that you have, you are going to move forward your startup, move forward your vision, and get your attention into things that are a little bit more important than writing emails.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is a very easy way to remind yourself. It's just to define how much you can earn per hours. And if you waste 5 hours to just debug this stuff, if you let's assume that your hours is $100, you just wasted $500. How much does it worth to pay someone $50 to save that issues in 15 minutes? It's priceless. And thanks to the internet and all that platforms, these days, as soon as you have a bit of know-how and you're going to learn to do this, and we are here to help you to do that as well, to delegate development to the right person, you will save a lot of time down the road.
And a lot of frustration as well. The idea is to keep you excited and motivated. You're building your dream. So you don't want to waste those 5 hours and those $500 in something that's going to keep you frustrated. True. Now, Amaury, is there anything else we need to cover?
No, I think we did a good job for that. I'm very happy that we were able to condense the tools that I use on daily basis. Again, that's my tools. Find yours, and always think yourself, how can I do it faster? And search for tools that can help you.
Yeah, and I'm very proud of myself because I didn't sneeze in the entirety of this episode. I'm coming down with a little bit of a cold. If you didn't notice, I'm a little bit stuffy. But we went through all of this. Useful tips, useful content, not one sneeze.
Yeah,
very proud.
And I'm sure no one mentioned it for sure until you mention it.
It's fine. It's fine. People get sick. They're okay with it. Right? You're okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you go to MyCTOfriend.co and you look at all of the tech management content that we have offered for you, you can also go to MyCTOfriend.co/podcast and see all of the other episodes. If you want to ask something, if you want to cover another topic, or if you want to reassure me that my cold didn't affect the quality of this episode, you can do that in MyCTOfriend.co/podcast. Now, if you want to look at the links and notes for today's episode, what do they have to do, Amaury?
On MyCTOfriend.co/7, which is the number of this episode. And by the way, just as a reminder, if you want to pre-order the printed copy of the book Startup Without CTO, you just need to go on startupwithoutcto.com. If you pre-order a printed copy now, you will get an early digital version 2 months before the official launch. So just need to go on startupwithoutcto.com. And there is one more thing. We need to remind you, please, to go on the iTunes and leave a review. We just started this podcast a few weeks ago, and we are very excited to keep going. And after the book, bringing more interview of great CEOs, letting them share tips and techniques. So that will be very helpful to have your support, and that's going to motivate us as well to keep going.
And of course, share if you found some value in this episode or in the other episodes of this podcast. If you learned something, go ahead and share it with your friends, share it with your network of startuppers. We are looking forward to help as many as we can. Thank you very much for listening in today. Thank you very much, Amaury, for so many helpful tips and tricks.
Thank you, Mercedes, for being here with us today. And thanks for you to listening and taking the time. We really appreciate it.
Okay, have a wonderful day. Go ahead and build your vision, startuppers. Until next time.
Bye. Bye, Mitchie.
Bye.